Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Simplify and Grow podcast. I'm the host, Steve Kopecky, and today I'm joined by Max Meinerz, who is the founder and managing partner at Ascendent Health Partners. Max, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate you spending some time on this podcast and joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background of who you are and what you do?
Of course, yeah. And Steve, thanks so much for having me on your show. Excited to learn from you and share with you. And I'm Max. I'm a dentist, local here to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've been practicing for just over a decade. Trained at Marquette University. Had gone into a single location dental practice and had a lot of really great experiences, not only there, but also as kind of like a hired gun, mercenary dentist, locum tenens, kind of working in other people's clinics over time, and picking up a lot of skills along the way and making a ton of mistakes and learning from them, hopefully as many of them as possible. Our practice is always kind of really try to hone in on a relationship based, kind of really people focused strategy. And we know that, like, sure, when you run a business, whether it's a healthcare business or a car wash, you do have to care about the revenue and the expenses and the money. But we do find that in healthcare specifically, if you take great care of people, generally speaking, the money tends to follow. So we've been very lucky, very fortunate, and a lot of hard work and some risk. Fast forward over the last decade, we've grown our humble little practice with 3 chairs and great views out the windows in Elm Grove, Wisconsin, to 5 locations, actually soon to be 7. And we've got providers number 14, 15, and 16 joining us here in 2024. So we'll be stretching from Appleton down to Kenosha, and pretty excited about being able to take care of more patients through the other partner doctors that I have inside of my organization.
It's always great to hear a good growth story, and it sounds like you're really having some positive impact on the dental community as well at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Been lucky and finding great people to help me kind of execute on my vision.
Excellent. What inspired you to start up your own business, and what was the initial spark that led you to take this entrepreneurial leap, if you will?
Yeah, I'm kind of a strange amalgamation of upbringing. So my father, he and his brother and sisters have a partnership, kind of a private equity investment fund that he was the managing partner of for all of my life. I think his an older sibling of his had it before him, but had a chance to learn quite a bit about scaling businesses and growing teams, identifying opportunities that maybe it looked like a turd to everybody else in the marketplace, but you knew there was something special there.
Hmm.
So I had a chance to learn a lot of that kind of line of thinking, and also my dad is somebody that just has like an insatiable appetite for risk. He's not afraid of swinging a home run bat. He always told me that he's been really well off, and he's been really poor, and he's managed to be happy, both ways. So go for the home run bat if you think you have a good idea. So learned a lot from him. Probably most importantly, clinically, my mother was a dentist. Raised 5 wonderful children, mostly by herself because my dad was always working. But mom always instilled like the right kind of things in us. Where I joke and say, when I went to dental school, I learned how to cut holes in people's teeth, and I
Hmm.
learned how to take care of the people that they're attached to from my mom. So she was the one that kind of put all the right ideas in my head about how to take care of patients. And I think in terms of like working on the business and taking care of the business, I learned a little bit of that from dad. So pretty lucky to have those 2 wonderful mentors in my life. And I knew going into dental school, I wanted to own something, a dental practice. And I knew that we were living in a marketplace where a lot of very well capitalized moneyed interests that were really wonderful businesses that happen to operate in healthcare were kind of gobbling up all of these boutique cottage dental practices. And so I knew that there was going to be a really bleak future if somebody didn't stand up and say, we got to protect this patient-doctor relationship. And watching all the private equity funds on Wall Street, have incredible success inside of dentistry, and watching these dentists who formerly were practice owners and entrepreneurs themselves kind of just become W-2 employees or a little bit more checked out, a little bit less sticky in their communities. It was important to me to create something that would preserve that. So our company allows doctors to maintain an equity slice or earn an equity slice in a dental practice that they're also clinically taking care of patients in. And we found a really like strong appetite for that from young and old dentists alike, in terms of keeping keeping relationship-based healthcare in their practices and having an opportunity to like work really hard and own a part of what you've worked so hard to create and build. So that's kind of what got me off to the races.
Okay, well, that's great. I can definitely hear some of the breakthrough, or having some pretty big goals and objectives, and willing to take risk as an important part. I like the baseball analogy. I'm a baseball person,
There
so
you go.
I appreciate that. And you can definitely hear the support that you've had throughout your process here with your family
Totally.
as you went about this. So, what are some of the common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address those common misconceptions?
Yeah, I think it's odd to describe it as such, but I think there are two really main misconceptions about starting or running a business: is that it's easy and that it's hard, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
so we have doctors that are fantastic clinicians, top of the class, dean's list, like they're used to doing everything themselves, being the smartest person in the room. And we find that like a lot of times these docs are maybe struggle with adversity because everything has usually come quite naturally to them. Like they're just very gifted people in their lane. I have found that like running this business, the best quarters, years, whatever, is when we've had a great team kind of attitude about it, whether it's great employees, business partners, vendors, folks that we can rely on their expertise and learn from them and trust them. That's the thing that we found a ton of success with. And I find a lot of dentists are very comfortable saying, I can do everything myself. I'm gonna do my own bookkeeping. I'm gonna do my own marketing. I'm gonna do it all myself. And that's like maybe the misconception that like, this is easy. I can do this all by myself. Equally, we find, especially with our younger cohort of doctors that are maybe thinking about joining up the group, they're always overly concerned by how impossible of a task it is to start a business.
Hmm.
And like, we live in the greatest time in the history of the world, especially in this country, where you can start a business, you can fail and get another chance. You can find capital to fund a good idea. Like I don't think it's ever been easier to start a business if you're willing to put the work into it. And I think that, I feel for these young docs who were never trained anything about business in dental school, and therefore they have this idea that like, this is impossibly hard and I couldn't ever do it. I think the expression that like, running a business is not necessarily complex, but it is in fact hard. It's showing up, it's the grit, it's the determination, and they're willing to take a leap of faith to say, I'm gonna invest in this thing before I know I need it. So I've kind of like pre-built for scale, or I'm going to like try an idea, run an experiment that might fail. Like I think those types of things are really, really unfortunate, that the ideas that are stuck in people's heads on those two ends of the spectrum of it's easy and it's hard, and both of those can be wrong. And I think finding the blend of, being willing to like get outside of your comfort zone, being willing to trust others that will shine where you do not, and also knowing that someone else has probably done this before you. Like those are all things. Once you can get over those, it's a lot easier probably to go from, the start line to the first step.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you're not in this alone,
Totally.
as you're speaking, and you're talking to us about this, and that's so important. How do you maintain work-life balance in this type of a situation, and what sort of rituals do you have, or habits to keep you motivated and focused? Because I'm sure there are times when it's up and down.
Yeah, I joke with anybody that'll listen. I'm too stupid to like plan much for myself, but if my wife or my smartphone tells me to go somewhere, I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna do my best to like excel at that thing. So, in terms of work-life balance, I am personally quite guilty of not allowing this to stay, in the right proportion. I think if you own a business, you want to start a business, there will be times when you have to, love your business as much as you love your family and your children and your dog and your house plant. I don't think it's smart to ever allow one to overshadow everything else. And where I have failed in the past is not intentionally creating time for the things that are not my business that I love, and honestly, just scheduling everything. And if it's like the once a quarter I blow off, an afternoon and take my daughter to the zoo or go do something fun, that's on the calendar.
Yeah.
Date night has to be on the calendar. Like all of these things need to be, in my mind and my hands, scheduled. And that's the way that you can kind of police yourself a little bit. I've found some success that way, and I would love to just organically show up with flowers and my wife's favorite dessert from wherever. But that's just not going to happen unless I'm kind of catching myself from filling that time with something else that feels pressing in the moment. So yeah, if you can keep yourself accountable on the personal side and the professional side, I think that's where success happens.
Excellent, excellent. I just got a message from my wife earlier today, and she said, "What do you think about a double date night on Friday?" And it's Bastille Day weekend. She's French,
Yeah.
so I had to say, yeah, for sure.
I think the answer to that is always yes.
Yeah.
Great idea. Yeah.
Well, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, believe it or
Totally.
not.
Oh, good for you. That's great.
uh, in this constantly evolving business environment and landscape, how do you stay adaptable and open to change? And because there's a lot going on. So, are there any specific strategies that you use to remain, and innovative as well during this whole process?
Yeah, I feel really lucky on this front because I think all of us are, um, it's easy to fall into this siloed, space where this is my lane, this is all I do, this is what I have expertise at, or in, I should say. And I think creating time, scheduling time to just get outside of whatever your normal lane is and go do something. So my own personal strategy, I feel very lucky. I have two friends that are probably the most likely in my network, people to either be living under a bridge somewhere or also creating like a unicorn billion-dollar company. And a couple times a year we'll get together and just have a think day is what we call it. And
Oh,
the idea being all those crazy ideas that have been floating around up in your head, like let's work on those, let's unpack those, let's kind of get into those details. And these two friends specifically have always got me just kind of thinking about things 100%, in a different direction. And I feel really lucky to have people like that in my life. And I'm sure you could probably get the same from a mastermind or some kind of like paid consulting arrangement. But I do think like carving out time to like totally step away from the day-to-day grind of running a business to get entirely away from whatever it is that you do, you'll probably come back to it the next day with a unique perspective on something that was feeling like an insurmountable problem.
you see yourself going after some of those ideas that come out of this day?
Yeah, some of them have turned into, maybe one day if there's an extra X number of dollars sitting around to throw at
Yeah.
a dumb idea. Others are, amongst these two very close friends, we've known each other since we were like 12 or 13. A lot of like riffing amongst the boys, giving each other a hard time.
Sure.
But it's always fun to just kind of chew on the ideas, I think, with these two specific friends of mine.
Excellent. Sounds like you're thinking about the future, but you're also making it real. So,
Totally.
that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Okay. Could you provide, in line with that, could you provide a sort of a glimpse or an idea of what the future plans are for your business?
Yeah, I actually just met this morning with our leadership team. We have a model out to 2030 that we're trying to just stay a little bit ahead of the trend line on, and it's been great to kind of guide the next quarter's decisions over that big game plan. We in our group practice are really excited. We're finally hitting a scale where we can really invest in, custom software and technology and things that are very specific to the problems that we're trying to solve. In healthcare, there's still quite a bit of like a labor shortage. Everybody says it's hard to hire people, but it is documented, especially hard in all sorts of healthcare to hire and keep people.
Hmm.
So we are looking forward to like relying on some AI focused tools to kind of help minimize the daily minutia, mind-numbing task of, working with insurance companies and doing monotonous things that right now we're relying on humans to do, which are more expensive, and it's just not very inspiring work. So we're really looking forward to developing these tools that we've had on our dream board for a while to let the humans in our company partner with technology in a way that they get to focus everything at a high level for the most part, and the daily minutia kind of slipping to the side. We also have a really interesting and small, but definitely interesting research and development hub inside of our company, where we've got this brilliant microbiologist trying to significantly reduce the disease burden faced by people surrounding like cavities, or dental caries is the disease that actually causes cavities. So we've been funding some research for about the last 2 years that I feel like the dog that caught the bumper after chasing the car, and now I'm wondering what I should do with it. So
Okay.
we made some breakthroughs that are really exciting, and I hope that we're on to product development here pretty soon. So in the next 5-6 years, I don't know if I'll be a practicing dentist anymore. I might be a microbiology health tech company executive. We shall see.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, you're trying to figure out how to commercialize and go to market with something that sounds like a pretty interesting concept or idea.
It's fun, and obviously, like focusing on our core business, the day to day, which is the most important thing. It's the engine that feeds everything else at the moment. There's all sorts of fun and challenges that go with that, but we're pretty lucky, and life's pretty grand.
Yeah, yeah, great. What advice would you have for aspiring entrepreneurs and as they start their journey?
Yeah, be excited to fail and do it quickly, I think would be the advice I would give to somebody that's just getting in started, because um, some of the probably the most famous entrepreneurs in the world, 5, 6, 7 total flops before they hit the big one or whatever that might be. And I think a lot of people live in a world where they love thinking about entrepreneurship, but it's really hard to like just go to day one, of entrepreneurship and do the thing that burn the boats, cross the Rubicon, do what you have to do to make it impossible to turn around. And as long as you've got good support at home and a great group of like friends and family that are rooting for you, even if it doesn't work, these people are going to be proud and delighted to call you a friend or family member. So that's what I would offer to a young entrepreneur, is just get started and don't be afraid to fail.
Excellent. Don't be afraid to fail, and also have that terrific network around you, because it's going to get tough at times, and expect that. But if you have your support network, you have a better chance of being successful.
100%.
Excellent. Well, Max, thank you so much for your time today. It was great meeting you and learning more about your entrepreneurial journey and your company. It sounds like an incredible company that has sort of an altruistic approach, as well as you're here to make some money. So that's always exciting when you have those two combined. You're not a not-for-profit on
Mhm.
one hand, but you also have a terrific reason for doing this business. And also you're really helping people be successful financially that are in this field. So really appreciate your time. And to everybody that's watching, I look forward to seeing you on our next episode.